We are on the precipice of a brand new year, which means new opportunities in crypto to make money. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the trends that I think are going to feature heavily in 2025, and are going to be home to some of the biggest altcoin gainers. Today, I don't want to focus on the narratives I think are going to underperform next year. The entire point of even trading altcoins is to outperform the market. So today I want to take a look at the sectors most likely to outperform in 2025. There are some clear signs that the market is giving us as to some of the alts that are likely to outperform in 2025, but I also want to do a little bit of forecasting today, taking a look at some of the main trends that are likely to feature next year. This is the first installment of my predictions videos for 2025. In 2 days' time, I'm going to be releasing my full 2025 predictions video. Today is going to focus more on the altcoin trends and the specific alts that I think are well positioned for next year. But in 2 days' time, the next video that I publish is going to focus on more specific trends involving certain prices when I think we top, all sorts of fun predictions like that. I like to do a predictions video every single year. So if you do want to see that, make sure you are subscribed and have that post notification bell turned on, because that's going to be a good one. And so is today, because I have lots of altcoin alpha to share with you. Some new coins today that I want to speak about that I've never spoken about on the channel before, but have been positioning in. I've got some data, which is really, really interesting. And overall, I think it's going to be an alpha-packed video. No fluff, all alpha today. Quickly looking at the Bitcoin chart, we can see it's pretty much hasn't really moved since the last video. There's just one thing that I wanted to point out on Bitcoin, and it's the fact that although we have seen a decline in the Bitcoin price over the last couple of days, altcoins relative to Bitcoin have actually held up fairly well. You can see here dominance has actually decreased, which means alts have gone up relative to Bitcoin. So what I think has happened is the sell-off for altcoins was really harsh when Bitcoin had that initial correction from 107k to 97k. That's when the majority of de-risking happened on alts. But it does seem like now most of that de-risking is out of the way, because now that Bitcoin is chopping sideways or even bleeding slightly, altcoins are actually holding up, if not pumping. And specific narratives like AI agents, which we're going to speak about in today's video, they're actually outperforming right now despite Bitcoin not really looking that good. In fact, it looks a little bit weak on the charts. And I even spoke about in my last video the possibility of another sweep of those lows of 90 to 92 or potentially 87 to 89k. But by the looks of altcoin strength right now, and you can see that dominance also put in a lower high. Even if we did get that move on Bitcoin, I think alts, although they might go down, are actually going to hold up relatively well, and that just shows where the market is at right now in terms of its propensity to bid altcoins. Obviously, that has happened, though, because alts had such a big sell-off that I think the majority of them already put in their big moves to the downside, and now they are repricing ahead of the new year. So that's just an interesting observation in terms of altcoin strength that I wanted to point out here at the start of today's video. The other thing I want to point out is the Bitcoin quarterly returns that are actually historically quite solid in post-halving years. So that is, of course, what we are entering now in 2025. It's a post-halving year. Obviously, 2024 was the halving year, and you can see that in the last post-halving year, which was 2021, Q1 delivered a return of 103.17%, coming off the back of a quarter that was plus 168%. So obviously, we just had a pretty good quarter, plus 47%. Could we back that up again, just like we did in the last halving to post-halving year cycle? And then you can see 4 years prior to that, which takes us back to 2017, we also had a plus 11.89% bullish quarter one, and that was also preceded by the halving year price performance in Q4 of plus 58%. So there is a bit of a trend here that in halving years, the final quarter, Q4, heading into Q1 in the post-halving year, tend to be bullish periods for Bitcoin. So although history doesn't always repeat, it certainly is a good sign to know that we have seasonality on our side. And it isn't just Bitcoin, we also know that we have altcoin seasonality on our side, because alts typically perform in that first 2 quarter stretch of a post-halving year, which is why I'm still leaning bullish. I'm definitely not leaning bearish heading into the new year. I think the new year brings a new wave of optimism. It's going to bring a new wave of market participants. Lots of people have their New Year's resolutions. They want to make money. They want to get serious. Crypto's one avenue to do it. Not just that, a lot of the liquid funds, I think, are going to become more active again. A lot of the crypto VCs, obviously, after putting in pretty good returns last year, will be looking at having another very strong year in terms of gains for their LPs, and that all starts again in January, where you can really plant the seeds for a successful year. And I think that the upside in crypto is so asymmetrically skewed that if you want a chance of outperforming your competitors, it just makes sense to bet long instead of betting short against the trend, which has been bullish from a macro perspective. So I think there are a couple things that are lining up, obviously macro price action, but also seasonality, that lead me to be more bullish into 2025 than I am bearish. And crypto is all about playing the probabilities, and for that reason, I'm still looking for opportunities. I'm not looking to exit all of my positions just quite yet. Obviously, when that time comes, I'll let you know, but right now, I'm still looking to play the upside in the market, and I still think there are plenty of opportunities in the market, which we are going to discuss today. So let's get into some of those opportunities. What are some of the sectors and specific altcoins within each sector that I think are going to be a focal point of 2025. Now, I'm not saying all of these alts are guaranteed to run in the beginning of the year. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed in crypto, but I think these are some of the sectors which have some of the strongest tailwinds that can propel them throughout the entirety of 2025. Now, obviously, as the year kicks off, we're going to see new trends. Like the AI agent meta has really come and risen to prominence over the last few months. But next year, who knows, crypto gaming could see a revival. We could see an L2 run at some point. There could be a new narrative which crops up. We never really know what's going to happen in crypto, but at least we can make predictions based on probabilities and based on trends that we do know about heading into the year and position accordingly. And these are some of the sectors that I am positioning in and specific coins that I'm positioning in order to capitalize within those sectors. The first one is actually Ethereum. I wanted to touch on ETH because it's something that I think a lot of people faded in 2024, and if you did fade it, you probably ended up outperforming because Bitcoin has outperformed ETH, Solana's outperformed ETH, many altcoins have outperformed ETH, but I do think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I do think Ethereum in 2025 does have a nice setup here to outperform. Eugene, a trader I really respect, points out how because Bitcoin has an ETF product and has outperformed, retail might think of the Ethereum ETF as a slightly better buy just because it's cheaper, a 10 IQ price fractal, so to speak. That could be one of the potential tailwinds for Ethereum. But I also just think based on technical analysis, you have ETH, BTC putting in what looks to be a bottom here. I'd like to think it's a bottom heading into next year. Remember, ETH typically outperforms Bitcoin in that 5-month stretch to kick off the year between January and May, which is typically when you see an alt season. And alt seasons are typically driven by ETH outperformance. At least that was the case in 2021 and 2017. Could this time be different? Maybe, but all the signs and the setup is here, in my opinion, for ETH outperformance. And look, if you look at the monthly ETH BTC chart, you can see it's been underperforming for quite some time. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes on a little bit of a run here, and at the very least, doesn't even need to get to the high from 2021, just deviates back into the main moving averages. That would already be a substantial move on ETH, which would be very, very good for alts. And obviously, there's that whole argument of on-chain wealth effect, that if Ethereum really kicks into gear, what could that mean for altcoins? That's actually what typically triggers alt seasons, by the way. It's Ethereum going up in price, and then a lot of the profits on ETH from big ETH whales dispersing into more risk on assets on the ETH chain. I think right now there are a lot of ETH whales who are feeling a little bit apathetic and have seen their bags either go sideways or down for the last year. ETH actually isn't down, it's up on the year, but at least compared to other assets. In fact, the USD chart actually looks pretty good right now. You have your higher low on the weekly, and then you have this major resistance level that we have rejected off 3 times, but eventually, in my opinion, that's going to break the more times we test it, and then it could be price discovery for ETH to 5,000 to 6,000. Just looking at the chart, $6,000 ETH looks very, very realistic for this cycle. But yeah, as I said, there's a lot of whales that in that scenario would probably rotate down into some of the ETH betas. So I'm not going to make this whole video an ETH beta show, but definitely one of the coins to consider as an ETH beta would be the leading meme on Ethereum. That's PEPECOIN. Actually also looks from a price action perspective pretty good. Yes, it had that blow off top when it got the Coinbase and Robinhood listings, but it did pull back down into the money noodle, which is our moving average that we use in the Mars High Club. Then you see a bounce here also from the top in May. That's a previous resistance zone that's now flipped into support. So you have nice confluence here with both of those levels. And I think if ETH goes on a major run, you're probably going to see some of the biggest ETH meme coins perform quite well. So Pepe kind of acts as an ETH beta in that respect. And then if you want to have a beta to PEPECOIN, the OG PEPECOIN, in my opinion, could be another good one in the ETH ecosystem. This is now at a historical support level, which I do like from a technical perspective. And if you guys want a reminder on the history of the Pepe meme coin, PEPECOIN is actually the OG, which launched years before the Pepe meme coin. So if you want a higher beta play to Pepe, and if you want to play the catch-up in terms of price discrepancy, I think PEPECOIN is another decent option, which is why I have been building a position over the last few months, and now it is down at the support level here, which even I'm adding at these levels because I do like the easy invalidation you have below if we do end up breaking below. One interesting aspect as well is the fact that AI is so hot at the moment, and PEPECOIN kind of crosses over not just between meme coins, but also AI, because of course it is tied in to the BASEDAI network, which has some big changes coming next year. And if you don't know, if all the brains on the BASEDAI network were minted, over 80% of the PEPECOIN supply would be burnt, as you can see in front of you. So there is a major deflationary aspect at play here based on the growth of the BASEDAI network. So it kind of becomes an ETH beta, a PEPECOIN beta, meme coin also crossing over with AI, which I think is obviously the prominent narrative of crypto right now and is likely to be one of the prominent narratives of this cycle. So that's the reason I'm holding it in my portfolio. Obviously, size your risk accordingly. You might not hold as much PEPECOIN as you hold Pepe because it's a larger market cap, and lower market cap coins obviously come with more risk, but it's a trade that I'm taking for those reasons. And you can see it's burnt 18% of its supply. That number could go up to 80% once all the brains are minted here. You can see there's 34% minted. Obviously, that's also a bet on the growth of the AI network. Now, if you look at the top performing narratives right now, feeding on from this AI discussion, you can see that the strongest performing asset class this week is AI, specifically the AI agents, which are up 35% this week. Now, you won't find another narrative in crypto which is up that much this week. AI is the dominant narrative in crypto right now. So heading into 2025, it would be remiss of me not to have the agents at the forefront. Now, obviously, if you've been watching the channel, we've been talking about AI for a long time, not just for this year even. We've been speaking about it since 2023, and even before when I was on Crypto Banter, we've been talking about AI, and over the past few months, we've really gotten deep into the AI agent stuff and hit many of the winners in the AI agent space. We've also missed a few of the big plays over the past few weeks, which have been doing really, really well, like AI16Z. I wish I invested in that. It's up 100% this week, but you can't catch all of them. But I do want to give you a quick update as to how I am viewing the AI agent ecosystem today, because it is a narrative which I think is going to continue to perform well. Now, it can be a little tricky because aping into some tokens which have already pumped massively isn't necessarily what I would recommend. You guys know that I always recommend buying into dips and not major pumps. The good news is there are some AI agent coins which I still think are going to feature over the next couple of quarters in terms of the narrative that haven't pumped massively in the past week, which is still giving you decent opportunities to enter. So we're going to talk about a couple of them now. And if you have been in the Mars High Club, this past week has probably been amazing for you in regards to AI agents, because Paradise, who's our head low time frame trader, has been absolutely killing it when it comes to the AI agent trades. You can see here he had a trade on ARK that went up 25% overnight. Then he had a trade on HEU that was also up 26% overnight. Then he pointed out AIXBT. As you can see here, this was 2 days ago, saying breakout loading. That obviously had a massive, massive move and ended up exploding 35%. So that's like 5 trades in a row where he was just absolutely killing it, making easy gains on the trading front. So after seeing all of these winners, I was interested in what Paradise's strike rate actually was, because I knew he was making money, but I didn't have the actual data. So what I did is myself and my team, we went through all of his previous 27 calls in the group, and what we found was that 22 out of 27 of his last calls were actually profitable. Only 5 calls were in the negative, and a lot of them, because he's a TA-based trader, were stopped out. So you see this one was stopped out, this one was stopped out, which means you wouldn't lose all your money. This one was only down 20%. But in that same period, you've had a 400% trade, multiple 35, 26, 30, 50% trade. This is without leverage. Obviously, if you are using leverage, which Paradise does, you can make much bigger gains, but obviously, that's got to be done with risk management that Paradise does teach in the group. He gives you his full strategy using the money noodle and actually how he does these trades. All of the setups are posted in the Trade Ideas and Chart Ideas channel, and then he has mentorships, which are actually live sessions, which help coach you to actually learn these strategies. One of the trades here on GOAT was actually 1,050%. Which is absolutely insane. So I just want to say shout out to Paradise. A lot of people know MHC for my calls, but I think Paradise needs more love because he's been absolutely killing it. And when I went through the data and realized that his strike rate was that high, I was pretty shocked. 22 out of 27 as a trader is absolutely insane. I always say as well, you don't need to win every trade to be a successful trader. All you would need to win is like 14 out of 27 to be profitable. So to win 22, that's just over and above, which is just a testament to his trading style. So if you do want access to all of his trades, all of his calls, and education on how to execute his trading system, which he's been developing for years, there's a link in the description below. Come and join. I know he's all over the AI agent coins right now. He's basically my go-to trader for AI agent trades, and you can see that the community's absolutely loving them. Like Caddy here followed Paradise's trade up 530%. James is up 1000% on Fartcoin. Lots of the members making huge profits on these trades, which I love to see. So come join and be a part of the Mars High Club below. I'm sure there are many more AI trades to come, which will be amazing. But back to my opinions on the AI agent meta. So obviously it's performing really well, but which ones am I looking at? Well, one thing that happened over the last 24 hours is SIMMI actually went up 50%. And if you don't know what SIMMI is, it's the first AI agent meme created by Imperial, which is a platform that I really like, which allows you to deploy and create AI agents on X. And you can see that over the past 24 hours as well, their token has started to pick up. We had a really nice bounce from the bottom of the money noodle on the daily. That's the indicator that Paradise teaches his system on. Lots of confluence on the daily time frame specifically. So we had a nice bounce, and then we reclaimed the major support level that we lost. So from a technical perspective, this one is looking quite good again, which I do like, and that's off the back of their AI agent meme doing really, really well. They've actually got their new no-code AI agent launchpad, which is going to be launching soon, which basically enables you to customize agent skills and personalities, add datasets, launch your own agent's token, and your agent can actually manage its own financial treasury, which is really, really cool. And you can deploy agents, of course, using X, which is amazing. So that's all very, very positive for Imperial. Now, on a slightly less positive note, I do want to give my sincere condolences to the family of Bill McDonald, who was the co-founder of Imperial. Very unfortunately, a week ago, he passed away, and I had the pleasure of speaking to him for a brief period of time, and he was obviously one of the pioneers behind the entire vision behind Imperial and Simulacrum, and he was essential in actually building that product. Unfortunately, he passed away, and I personally donated to support his family. If you want to do the same, I'm going to leave a link in the description below, because if you do support the project, if you're invested in the project, you might choose to support him as well. Of course, only if you can. Every donation counts. I do want to say, though, Imperial is in very, very good hands. The rest of the team, Johnny included, they're absolutely amazing, and they're well prepared to take this forward. But I did want to publicly honor Bill for his amazing work and wish his family well during a pretty difficult chapter for them. It's always quite shocking for me personally when in a work environment stuff like this happens, because you can literally be talking to someone, messaging them or getting on calls, which is something that I did with the Imperial team many times. And then to hear news like that, it is quite a reminder of our own mortality. So although this crypto stuff is important to us, and although we love making money, it is a good reminder that life is a lot bigger than that, and you can't take it for granted, and you have to do your best every single day, because you never know. Life's very fragile. A little bit of an awkward segue now back into the crypto alpha, which is of course why you came here in the first place. Mode is a project that I've definitely got my eye on in regards to AI agents. They actually just launched their hackathon. So in 6 days already, they've gotten over 670 registrations, 10 plus ELISA plugins for swapping, lending, and staking, and their AI ecosystem is expanding rapidly. This hackathon's actually in partnership with AI16Z DAO, Autonomous, and Crossmint, which is absolutely amazing. And if you do look at the price action of Mode right now, yes, they had a massive blow off, but they're actually consolidating above a really key support level. It was the first breakdown level before the accumulation distribution phase that they went through, but after breaking above, we're now getting a retest of that, and we are starting to see the moving average creep up on the 3-day and the daily to actually mark a little bit of confluence with the current horizontal that we are also retesting. So from a technical perspective, it looks good. Obviously, from a fundamental perspective, they've been pioneering AI agent tech for quite some time. I've been in contact with the team for a long time now, and they've been building a lot of this stuff before the current meta really kicked off. So I think they're well prepared to actually capture a lot of the upside from AI agents. And you can see James here, the founder of Mode Network, has a few of his predictions for AI agents, which I recommend you pause the video and read them because he has some big predictions when it comes to agents. And obviously Mode is prepping for some of these predictions, like 80% of DeFi transactions will be done by agents in 2025. Over 10 KOL AI agents will hit 1 billion FDV. GOAT was the first, looking like AIXBT will be the next. AI agents will become active in protocol governance, and the first AI-powered governance attack will take place. That's an interesting one to think about. Over 300 subnets will go live on BitTensor, but under 50 will earn sustainable emissions. The Synth subnet from Mode Network will be a leader. That's obviously something that is really, really exciting that Mode Network is building. So lots of very interesting predictions, many of which I actually agree with. And having a founder that's thinking forward to that future, I think that's really powerful because Mode can essentially reverse engineer, and they have been creating the tech to facilitate and benefit from that future. So I'm a big fan of what they are doing. Now moving on to the next segment of the market that I think could perform well in 2025. This was also from Eugene's tweet. Utility fee generating coins is one of the points that he made, and I wanted to give a little bit more nuance and my own take on what this means. So I definitely think moving into the new year with the Trump administration taking hold, with JD Vance by his side, who's really bullish on the utility tokens in the market, with obviously the ETFs and just the entire legitimization of the asset class in general, I think there will be a bit of a shift towards some of these utility fee generating coins, especially if ETH as well actually does do well. I think a lot of these ecosystems are actually on Ethereum. You're also seeing, of course, World Liberty, which is the project that is connected to the Trumps, starting to buy some of these DeFi coins. Obviously, that bodes well for the entire narrative here. And I just think next year, just like the end of this year has been, will be the year of utility. And there are a few specific projects under utility, which I want to discuss now. One I haven't spoken about on the channel that I want to dive a little bit deeper into today. The first one, you already know, I've spoken about it quite a lot, but I can't talk about utility without mentioning the token because this is kind of quintessential utility is CHEX. I think RWA in general, CHEX aside, is one of the sectors primed for the most upside if a utility bull run does occur. Obviously, Larry Fink has been a big proponent of the asset tokenization narrative. I just think it fits the current climate so well. And after memes ran really hard last year, I think a lot of people kind of got sick of memes and fed up with memes, and it feels like the utility run is like a direct response to that. And utility's kind of taking on a whole narrative of its own now, which I'm all here for, to be honest, because I'm a big fan of utility fundamentals because that really suits my trading as like a fundamentalist. Looking at really interesting things like tokenomics flywheels, that's the sort of stuff that got me into crypto. I got into crypto during the 2020 DeFi boom, and that was all about tokenomics, economics. Staking at the time was really big, and that was really interesting to me. So to see that playing out again this cycle, I'm all here for. I think it suits me as an investor, and I've been looking for some of these high-value utility protocols in the space to position in. And from RWA, CHEX and CPOOL have been my main two picks. CHEX specifically, I don't know if you know this, but their tokenomics are really well designed in terms of capturing what Eugene's talking about here in terms of utility fee generating coins. I like coins which generate fees, and in some way, the benefit from that fee generation goes back into the value of the coin. And CHEX is interesting because CHEX is the native token that powers the network, and every time an institution wants to tokenize assets, and we've seen hundreds of millions of dollars of assets being tokenized on Chintai over the past few months alone, they're actually required to purchase CHEX tokens in order to access the platform's resources. So that is actually how, as like a white label solution, like, you know, the Shopify of RWA, as we call it, the CHEX token is actually able to accrue value because you've got this constant buy pressure every time someone wants to use the platform to tokenize assets. If that client decides to pay in fiat, that fiat transaction is actually converted back into CHEX by Chintai. So that actually benefits the protocol because it's more buy pressure from the dollar amount that was paid to Chintai on the CHEX token. And it's also a deflationary token, so it gets increasingly scarce over time. There's also no insider unlocks, it's fully diluted, and holders can also stake for yield. So tokenomics-wise, I think one of the reasons why it's performed so well, and why, in my opinion, it will continue to perform well, is because it has that flywheel. Essentially, as they say here, CHEX functions like an RWA ETF that pays dividends. That's like the perfect way to think of it. It's exposure to the entire RWA industry, and it also pays dividends, and it's a deflationary asset that you are required to use if you want to use the platform. So from that perspective, that's one of the reasons why I'm bullish on CHEX, despite just the narrative being good of it being a lot cheaper than Ondo and Mantra and having obviously big institutional players using the platform. The other one, as I mentioned, that I do like from the RWA space is ClearPool. AIXBT, the AI agent, which is absolutely exploding at the moment, has also been shilling CPOOL quite aggressively, which obviously helps. Just processed 650 million loans, now launching their own chain, OZN, in Q1. Direct USDT/USDC mint/redeem plus T-bill yields built in. CPOOL plus 95% last 30 days, but still minus 81% from all-time high. $112 trillion wealth management market BlackRock municipal bond ETF confirmed. Sometimes it gets the numbers wrong. It says here CPOOL quietly managing $70 billion in tokenized assets while everyone LARPs DeFi 2.0, which I found quite funny. But I mean, having the AIXBT agent, crypto is all about mindshare, right? So having it shill CPOOL, it's only a good thing. But obviously, fundamentally, given the fact they've originated over $650 million in loans, they've got their mainnet launching, they've got a lot of other stuff coming, and they are still at a pretty low valuation, 450 mil compared to some of these other competitors. I think it's still a good proposition for upside next year, and I'm still holding the majority of my CPOOL bags. Obviously, if you've made some profit, take some profits. I remember calling it in the Discord back at, I think, 13, 14 cents, and obviously it ran up to 60 cents, so take your initials out, let the rest ride, accumulate on major dips. That's my general playbook for any coin, by the way. Obviously, it's good, though, that AIXBT is giving it that extra bit of fire in terms of shilling. Now, continuing on with this trend of utility fee generating coins, PINLINK is actually another one in RWA, which has a real economic system underpinning its value. So they just invested another $1 million in protocol-owned deep in assets. They purchased the Antminer L9s. So they have over $3 million worth of protocol-owned assets. Now, the more fees that they generate through swaps, the more money that goes into their treasury, the more assets they're actually able to accumulate, which obviously generate the protocol income. And they also just introduced PIN staking, which of course is another initiative which could potentially reduce the total circulating supply. So PINLINK's one that, when we talk about utility, I think fits the bill really well. And it's now sitting at around $2 after running up really aggressively to $4. I remember speaking about this on the channel at 60 cents, Discord at 40 cents, run up really, really hard, probably too hard. So it's now nice to see it go through this consolidation and accumulation phase. What I do like is the fact that structurally it did make the higher low above this major horizontal level and the moving average on the daily, which is super important. So from a technical perspective, I actually think it still looks good. And also from a fundamental perspective, which is the most important thing, it definitely fits the narrative right now, being an AI RWA deep in platform, and the PINLINK token is at the center of all that. Now, one that I haven't spoken much about, but I mean, when I was conceptualizing this video, I was like, I have to mention these guys because it's just the perfect example, is Morphware. So when we talk about utility coins that generate income, that's pretty much what Morphware is. So if you don't know what Morphware is, they basically convert energy into money. So they acquire miners, they earn money, and they buy back tokens. So it's a pretty direct flywheel, which leads to asset value accrual. So you can see here that they just added 288 new miners to their fleet, which increases productivity by 2,800%, generating $260,000 a month with BT at 95K. That's pretty crazy. Basically, as I said, converting energy into economic output. Now, a very interesting fact is they're actually mining Bitcoin cheaper than many other competitors. They're actually mining cheaper than Riot, which is a Nasdaq-listed company valued at $3.8 billion. So if you're able to mine cheap Bitcoin and then use that to profit and buy back your own token, that is a pretty powerful flywheel, which if they can keep propelling, I think could keep propelling it higher. It also fits under the AI narrative. AIXBT is also talking about Morphware. I've had the pleasure of speaking with the team over the past couple of months and learning more. And when I really understood the flywheel, it just made a lot of sense to me. And especially in this environment where I think there's a real focus on utility and even Bitcoin itself, with Bitcoin being one of the leading assets this cycle, I think narrative-wise, it definitely fits the bill. Now, looking at the price action from a technical perspective, it was at 20 cents. We got a pullback all the way almost to 10 cents, so a 50% drawdown. Then it started to consolidate again above this moving average. So actually looks quite good. You'll notice many tokens are now looking like this, at least the good ones. The bad ones, what a lot of the bad ones have done, right, is they've broken back down below the major horizontal levels and the moving averages. The good tokens, they pumped hard and then now they're pulling back into their moving averages, but they're still above major support. These are the technical setups that I do like a little bit more in the market right now. So XMW is one that I've been building. Honestly, I missed the first run-up when it went to 20 cents. So after we had a major dip, I was actually able to start accumulating a bigger position, which is what I wanted to do. So that's the reason I didn't speak about them about a month ago, because I was still waiting to build a position, which I've finally been able to do thanks to this dip. So remember, in the market, dips are opportunities. If you get major dips on a project you're still fundamentally bullish on, that is an opportunity in the market. And I'm actually happy that the market has shown a bit of weakness over the past couple of weeks to allow me to get entries on coins like this, which I missed during their first run up. The last narrative of 2025 that I want to point your attention to, it might not be so juicy straight away, but it's something to think about in the back of your head, is what altcoins could potentially get an ETF next? Because obviously that really drove Bitcoin. It drove Ethereum for a little bit before that trade kind of ended up falling into the background. But there are a few which I think are primed to get ETFs next. So maybe Litecoin, maybe HBAR, XRP, Solana. These are some of the coins that are probably next in line for an ETF. A Solana ETF would, in my opinion, be pretty damn good for the Solana price, considering Sol's been one of the strongest assets this cycle in terms of infrastructure. From a retail point of view, institutions maybe aren't fully on board yet, but I'm sure they'd love to bid a coin that's still much cheaper than Ethereum in terms of market cap, yet has the data to back it up. Solana is one of the only coins that's actually achieved product market fit in terms of a layer one. Also, from a price action perspective, looks pretty good. If you missed that big Sol run and you're not in Sol, but you don't mind maybe a lower risk play this bull run that could maybe 2x, not set the world on fire, but is a little bit safer, so to speak. I don't think Solana's a bad look. Obviously, it's kind of a boring play compared to other coins in the market, but boring can sometimes be good. And a strategy you can actually implement in the market is when you make a lot of profits on a meme or something, let's say you make a 5x on a meme, put half into stable coins. But if you're really bullish on Sol, I don't hate the idea of putting half into Sol and riding like a safer 2x. Of course, anything can happen. Nothing in crypto is fully safe, but Sol is at least a more established asset that even in a major market crash, it's not going to completely nuke. It's a little bit more protected because a lot of people are still using it as a token. And of course, it has a very strong narrative and a very big community, which is really important to especially underpin tokens during times of turbulence. So those are some of the top narratives I'm looking at. Utility-based feed generating, income producing assets. I'm looking at the AI agent plays, of course, Ethereum. And of course, there are a few more things next year, which I think could do well, like crypto gaming infrastructure. But I wanted to hone in on a few specific protocols today that I think are of interest heading into the new year. In 2 days, my full predictions video will come out. That'll be focused on less altcoins and more on numbers. When I think Bitcoin will top, what I think it will top at, when I think alts will run, what will be the top performing alts. Going to be a little bit more risky in terms of some of the outlandish predictions that I might make, but I mean, it's a bit of fun. I like to do it every year. We'll also reflect on some of the things that I got right or wrong from the last one a year ago. And that's always a fun thing to do in a year's time. Look back at our predictions and see how we went. So I will see you in that one. If you want to join the Mars High Club and come be a part of the Discord community and trade alongside myself and, of course, our amazing analysts like Paradise, there's a link in the description below. Come join, be a part of the crew. Paradise has a mentorship tomorrow, so if you're watching this video as soon as it comes out, it's not too late to join and get his live trading session. I'm sure he'll cover all of the AI tokens. And then a day later, on New Year's Day, I have my AMA, which I do every single week, where I'm going to be answering questions. So you would be joining at a good time if you come and be a part of the crew. I'll see you in the next one. Have a lovely rest of your day. Peace out.